Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Engineering Quality. This is the podcast where we explore the art, science behind building exceptional software. I'm Royally, and as always, I'm joined by my incredible co-hosts, Veronica and Ali. Hi, ladies.
Hi, Royally. So glad to be here. Hi, everyone. Great to have another episode coming up.
Hi everyone, I'm very excited for today's topic.
Yes, we're so excited. So, today we're diving into something we all care about and have discussed with our teams probably over a million times, and that is quality leadership. I know it's a big term, right? But really, it's about guiding teams to build solid, reliable software. And it's more than just testing, it's building a culture.
That's right, Royally. Quality leadership can go beyond traditional testing roles. It's about embedding quality throughout the product lifecycle. It can mean also influencing everything all the way from design, development, even deployment decisions, and showing teams that quality is really everyone's responsibility. We talked about this before. We keep talking about it. It is definitely everyone's responsibility.
It's an endless topic that we can talk about forever.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit about what is quality leadership.
But before we start diving deep into what leadership and quality actually means, I think it would be good for us to just take a little break and discuss the difference between quality and testing. I think these two can get conflated a lot, and especially in conversations I have, I know people conflate quality and testing, thinking they're the same thing, but they're definitely not the same, right? So I'll give my definition, and feel free to jump in, ladies. But testing is an activity. So we do testing, the engineers do testing, like it's something that we actually do. And at the core of testing, really, the goal that we have is to provide information for the people that need it. It might be stakeholders, decision makers, or whatever. So quality, though, is more like a standard. It's something that we measure, and we measure it against something else. So I know that Michael Barton and James Buck have coined the saying that quality is value to some people. So I think that's a very good explanation, and it's the value that I place on something, or that you place on something, right? So, and because of that, quality can be radically different between what you think quality is and what I think quality is as well. And that's why it's always good to keep the conversation going about quality in the teams too. So, quality is really subjective. It's important for us, I think, to be clear about the differences because they are often referred to as the same thing. So quality leadership to me is fundamentally about driving that mindset where the entire team is thinking about software quality from the very start. It's about supporting everyone to build software that solves business problems, not just verifying requirements. So a quality leader integrates quality in every phase of the development process, from the initial requirements to the final deployment. And it means that we get actively involved in planning, in setting realistic standards and expectations so that quality isn't just an afterthought, but it's a built-in goal.
I so agree with you, Ali. Like, I couldn't say it better. And what I want to add is that quality is different from being just a test lead. Quality leaders aren't just focused on test cases or specific testing tasks. They are shaping what gets built in the first place. We are working closely with developers, testers, and even product managers to define quality standards and identify potential risks from the outset. It's about empowering every role to consider quality upfront and providing the framework and guidance for that. When a quality leader is at the table early, they can influence decisions in the ways that prevents issue rather than just reacting to them after the fact.
Exactly. And if we're doing it right, we're making people a little bit uncomfortable because they know that we'll catch things that sneak in, right? So things happen. People don't put things in on purpose, but things, fall by the way. Maybe people are pressed for time, and end up taking shortcuts, whatever the case is, but we make you a little bit uncomfortable because they'll know that we'll catch those things. And so we're not just here to check the boxes, but to elevate the entire process, because quality leadership goes beyond traditional testing roles. It encompasses strategy, oversight, and constant advocacy for excellence. It's about creating an environment where people understand that quality is an investment, not just a task list. So like, as I mentioned earlier, it's about building and enforcing that culture, right? And so a quality leader is always thinking 2 steps ahead, making sure that no one is taking the easy route at the cost of long-term product integrity.
Absolutely. Let's explore the key traits of the quality leader and why they are so essential to leading effectively in this field. For me, the absolute must is strong communication. You have to advocate for quality with everyone. Devs, product folks, executives. Each group has a different perspective on quality, and it's our job to align them. If you can't explain why quality matters and how it impacts their work, you will lose the battle before it even starts. Effective communication isn't just about talking. It's about listening, understanding concerns, and then translating those into actionable quality practices.
It's so true, Veronica. And I think there is lots of misconceptions about testing and quality. And some of them, I think, stem from the fact that we sometimes can be pretty poor at communicating what value we actually bring to the team, right? I think one of the things that I love doing with my team is making sure that we as a team understand what is it that is the value that we bring to the organization. How do we communicate that out to other teams and even to ourselves? Sure, we test, sure, we provide information, but what else do we do? So I think it's really important that the team actually understands their own value and purpose so they can communicate that value and purpose is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's so true. And also I want to add that it's important for the team to be united in this. So it cannot be that like one person says A, another person says B, and it's actually causes more confusion. So
true.
Yeah, and I like that you said that the team has to be aligned first, and then we are communicating out.
Yeah. So when those diversions in thinking happen within the team, like that, some people think we bring one type of value and others think something else. How do we bring them together so we can have that one voice?
Well, we also talk to each other, right? So we discuss like every point of view and come to the unified decision on like what it really means for us. I think that quality is different in every company, and it's up to the team in the first place, up to the testing team. Also sometimes called quality team, which I'm not really fond of.
Yeah.
Yes, it's up to that team to shape what exactly we mean when we talk about quality and how testing team can help the rest of engineering organization to achieve the quality software.
Another thing that's important too is having the data to support what you're sharing, right? So a lot of execs or technical leaders, they really don't understand what you're saying unless there is the specific data to back it up. And so it's so important as a team, if you can show your impact and show what could happen if the rest of the company doesn't understand the value of having a quality team. And I think, Veronica, you're the one who introduced me to the concept of having a brag book. And I always thought it's so cool to have a brag book on a personal level, but it's also very important to have a brag book on a team level. And that's something that you could easily communicate to the company through a newsletter or whatever the case is. But it's so important to document your impact, have that data, and then circulate it throughout the company.
Absolutely. I love that idea, brag book. Love it. Something else I think that's super important is empathy. We need to understand where each team member is coming from, or each group within the team is coming from, their goals, their pressures, their challenges. So this way we are better positioned to guide them and have maybe less resistance. I mean, change is hard. A lot of what we do is implementing change to processes so we can have, better outcomes. So changing is hard, but if you do use empathy, you can really implement those changes in an easier way. There's never an easy way to implement change. Because I think when people feel understood, they're more receptive to change. And because they see that you're not just enforcing standards, I think it's important to take people on a journey as well, so they can understand why are we doing it and what's the outcome that we are looking towards. So all of that takes empathy, and it's important to explain to them that this is supporting their success to the success of their team, of their personal success within that team as well. So empathy lets to connect those dots from everyone and helps the team see how quality and processes can benefit their work without adding unnecessary burden.
I also want to add to the empathy another part of communication, which is active listening. So it's kind of very similar, right? Because in order for us to be able to listen to someone else, we have to have empathy to them, which as a result, empathy is also a building block of strong communication.
Exactly. And the other thing that I want to talk about as a good trait for a quality leader is having that technical knowledge. Having a solid technical foundation gives you credibility with the team and the ability to set realistic quality standards. So when you understand the technology, you can challenge design decisions or suggest optimizations without feeling like an outsider. Plus, you're able to have deeper, more meaningful conversations with developers about what's possible and what's needed to reach quality goals. It's not just about catching bugs, it's about understanding how and why they happen. And I mentioned that it's important to have this knowledge so that you can challenge design decisions. And I'm on the fence, right, about using that word challenge because there are some leaders who are technically knowledgeable, right? So they understand the frameworks, they understand the technology, they understand the tools, the languages, and all of the above. And because they have all this knowledge, it's almost like a dictatorship type of relationship. And that is not healthy for any team, and not just quality leadership, just leaders on a whole, right? It's very important that you understand the different members of your team, understand their different skill sets and what they bring to the team. And you help them to grow those skills and you work on those skills and you bring everything together to create that unison so that the team can really provide good results.
Yeah, it's a good point, really. Thank you for pointing this out. And I want to quickly summarize what we just talked about. All of the traits combined, communication, empathy, and technical knowledge, all of this together build trust. And trust is what allows a quality leader to inspire change, even when it means going against the grain. When your team sees that you truly get their challenges, understand the technology, and can clearly communicate the why behind your decisions, they are more likely to buy into the vision of quality that we are proposing. It's all a ripple effect that spreads to every part of the product.
Absolutely. And, now that we covered a bit what some of the traits are, this time we covered some here, I think it would be great for us to jump a little bit and talk about some of the core responsibilities that come with that leadership. Because it's one thing to have the right traits or to know what the right traits are, but it's another thing altogether to be able to effectively put them into action. So a quality leader has to wear many hats, and some of the most critical roles involve setting test quality standards, advocating for testing resources, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement as well. All of those are big topics.
Yeah, and setting standards is a big part of it, like you mentioned, because as quality leaders, we advocate for realistic yet ambitious quality standards. So it's not just about making sure that testing is done or that the bug tickets are closed or whatever the case is, but it's ensuring that it's done to a level that truly reflects the product's needs. So we align the team on what good really looks like, right? What the definition of done is. We talk about that a lot in Agile. And then we make sure everyone is working towards that done. So we also advocate for the resources required to meet those standards. And if testing isn't adequately represented in time, budget, or manpower, the quality of the product will suffer.
Yes, that's so correct. I wouldn't say it any better. And I want to highlight that sometimes we as quality leaders need to play this bad cop role. Sometimes we have got to be the one to say, nope, it's not ready yet. We are the ones who can do it even when the pressure is on to push things out of the door. Sometimes that means making tough decisions, and yes, it can feel uncomfortable. Well, I wouldn't say even can. It's always feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Because you are usually outnumbered. But that's why they pay us a big bucks, right? Or should pay us big bucks.
More like it, yeah.
It's about protecting the product from getting rushed or skipped over in the name of deadlines.
Yeah, it's so true, Veronica. I think we are often the ones left standing there between the deadline and something going to production, right? But I've had a conversation with someone recently about who do we have those conversations with and what the conversation actually means. For example, if we are trying to be the bad cop to, the engineering team who is like, oh, I got to meet my deadline, I got to deliver. And we are trying to protect the product because we know from the product manager, from the product owner that this is not ready according to the standards that they've set for the product. That's us doing our job. But what happens when we are trying to stop a release, when we think the quality is not good, but we are having those conversations with the product owner or the project manager, and we say, we don't believe that this should be going to production based on standards that we've set, that they've set sometimes, and they are saying, no, but we need to go. So sometimes, we need to go because we need to be the first to deliver something in the market because, we have competitors that are also delivering something and it might go with a lesser quality than what we would expect. So I'm rambling here, but what I'm trying to say is that there are times when we are having that bad cop, good cop conversation with the product owners who are the ones who should be having those conversations themselves, but they are the ones pushing for a lesser quality for other reasons as well. And sometimes we just have to give in to those, we raise the issue, that's what we're there for, and then we might need to let them make the decision as well.
I want to add that it all comes down to managing risks. And as long as we are providing the information, all the data, as Riley mentioned, right, for the broader team, this is where our value is, I would say, right? So we are here to make sure that the team is informed what might be consequences. And yeah, it's kind of like a bad cop role, but at the end of the day, it's not this co-op who is making final decision, it's a team together.
Yeah, totally. And that's exactly the point I was trying to make. Very eloquent, you, Veronica. Thanks for putting that summary together. Something else that I think it's really important to, going back to being the bad cop and trying to raise those issues up as well, is trying to also foster a culture of improvement and continuous learning. We, as quality leaders, just don't focus on checking off tasks or testing things at the end, right? We are trying to impact the quality from the very beginning. We're trying to create an environment where teams can continuously raise their standards. We can help people learn from their mistakes. That's what postmortems are there for. We can be the ones that are pushing for those. We can help people take ownership of their work, and we can encourage them to push for better outcomes altogether. So when a team embraces continuous improvement, they stop seeing quality as the final destination and start seeing it as an ongoing journey that happens every day, right? And that's when that mindset's really changed. It's where the process and the product get better with each iteration as well.
Yeah, and I can give an example of this in real life. I remember working on a project where we had so many different features working on at the same time. It was a very small team. We were all burnt out at our max ends, right? And then PM came and said, hey, leadership says we have this deadline that we have to meet. It has to go out right away. We won't be able to do our regular testing things that we normally do. We have to essentially rush through it. And sometimes I quite enjoy playing that bad cop, right? Like, I don't mind putting a stop to things. And so I was very clear that there's no way that we would be able to meet that deadline. We had other previous deadlines, we had other initiatives that we had to meet. There's no way that we could add this one thing. And they were adamant saying, leadership says we have to do it, so we have to do it. And I went back and I said, well, does leadership know that we also have these other things working on and we have these other deadlines that we have to meet? And the PM was essentially like, I don't know what to tell you. Leadership says we have to do it. We have to do it. And so, I said, well, we need to have a bigger conversation with leadership, because it's either they are not understanding the impacts that it will have with the quality of the feature if we try to rush it. It could have bigger impacts than just pushing it out. And so I challenged the PM. I was like, this is not acceptable. We need to get back to leadership. We need to have a different due date. There's no way that we can have so many things done at the same time. We're not robots. It's just X amount of people, right? AI didn't come in handy this time. So within the same day, the PM was able to send us a message saying, hey, I went back to leadership and it's no big deal. We can push the deadline for this one. It was such an easy transition to just have that conversation.
This is ridiculous.
Exactly.
It's almost like sometimes we need to just push the conversation to actually happen, right?
Yeah.
The bad cop part is not about we're not doing this, or it's like, can we just make sure that the conversation actually happens? Do they understand the consequences of this? Because there is a perceived idea that we can deliver all of this at the same time with the same quality, but we can't. So, making those conversations actually happen, that's a great example, really.
And one thing that ties into that, right? It comes back to the importance of the entire engineering team being aligned on who owns quality, which is the whole team. So a lot of times there's a mindset, well, we'll just blame it on QA if leadership says something, right? Like a lot of people have this in the back of their minds, like, let's just blame QA. People love to blame QA. And so once they understand that quality is shared across all the team, they also will be of the mindset that, okay, this is not going to work because we, the whole team, not just whoever the tester is, the whole team is not able to meet whatever the quality standard is for this feature. So let us all push back. So it comes down to having like a mindset change across the team.
Yes, that's so true. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about really when the team is taking ownership. And I do have an example when the team was building the new tool, the automation framework for the new application, and they got frustrated because as they were like writing tests, they were not seeing the expected results right away. And it's like, oh, okay, we invest in this much time, but what's really in it for us? And in this situation, the role of tester, the quality leader, in our case, right, is to offer support to the team, guide them through the learning curve, like tell them it's like, oh, okay, we cannot build the city in one day, right? Well, first we need to like make sure that we have the water pipes, that we have electricity. So it's more like we are building foundational things, and we do not see any buildings yet, right? But it's all like happening underground. But without this foundation, the city will not survive. Because it will be like medieval cities, right? With like not so pleasant smell and candles instead of real like electricity. Yeah. So we have to explain that, well, it's taking time to get to the place where we want to be. And also we have to set realistic expectations about the process that we are planning to follow. What I want to say is baby steps and small wins would be beneficial. And it will inspire the team that's just starting to work on building quality processes, one day at a time.
One day at a time, exactly. And that's really what quality leadership is all about, right? We set the tone, we have to make tough decisions, and we motivate our team to continuously aim higher, even if it's one day at a time, one baby step at a time.
Mhm.
So, yeah, because quality leadership isn't a passive role, it requires continuous active involvement to ensure the entire process stays focused on delivering top-notch products. It can't be done just by one team, by one person. It has to be all of us in the squad. So sometimes that means making decisions that may not be immediately popular in, going back to the bad cop thing. But in the long run, they are what's best for the team and the product. So we need to advocate for them.
Exactly. So whether it's setting the standards, being the bad cop when necessary, or fostering a culture where everyone strives for that continuous improvement, quality leadership is what drives success. So it's not just about testing, it's about building a sustainable, high quality product that the whole team is proud of. It's about creating that environment where quality is the priority no matter what phase of development you're in. And when a quality leader does their job right, that mindset becomes ingrained across the entire team. So you're not just managing testing, you're shaping the whole approach to how the product is built, and not just within your company. It's really such a huge responsibility because you're shaping how other companies could eventually test when your team leaves and go to other companies and they take what you passed on to them through your mindset change and pass it on to their team, and then the cycle continues. So it's very important.
I couldn't agree more. And now that we explored the core responsibilities of quality leader, let's shift gears and talk about something equally important: building and leading a quality driven team. As a leader, it's not just about setting standards and making tough calls. It's also about creating an environment where your team is empowered to prioritize quality every step of the way.
Yes, yes. I've had a conversation about this week actually, and talking about what are the most important things that we look for someone when we are hiring, for a quality role or a testing role. And when we're hiring for testers, it's not just about the technical skills. Like we know we talk a lot about having automation skills, having technical skills. I think all of that is really important, especially in this day and age. Like if you do have technical skills, it can set you apart. But what really sets testers apart to me is finding people that truly understand the value of quality. So it's like going back to what we were talking about earlier, people that are able to talk about the value that we bring, that they are able to eloquently explain, if they have a conversation with someone, why they are doing what they're doing, how they're testing, because sometimes we just test and we don't even know how did we get there. Being able to explain those things is really important. So they should have the ability to communicate the importance of testing and quality to others and keep it at the forefront of their mindset. And that's really hard to find. Like it's really hard to find someone that has technical skills and communication skills and is interested in talking about quality as well on top of everything else. So you need, I think, team members who are just not just executing tasks, but who are always thinking about how the work that they do impacts the overall product and its quality as well.
And also, it comes down to the quality mindset, right? Like testing mindset. This is kind of like a core of everything when we hire the new tester. If there is no this quality mindset, then doesn't matter how technical person is, how like diligently they can execute. If they don't understand the concepts behind why they are doing what they are doing, it's just robots.
Exactly. And, it's not just about hiring the right people, but once you've hired them, you have to work on continuously inspiring them, right? So people need to feel that quality isn't an afterthought. It's not something you just check off at the end of the sprint. It's an essential part of what makes the product valuable. And when people understand that their contribution directly impacts the quality of the final product, they're more invested in the work. That inspiration comes from us as leaders. We set the tone and we make sure that quality is always a priority.
Yes, and it's like being a team cheerleader and sometimes a team's therapist too. You have to balance motivation with realism. Sure, you want to push the team to always do their best, but you also need to recognize when things are getting tough. When the going gets rough, it's your job to keep morale up and help the team navigate setbacks. It's about making sure they don't lose sight of why quality matters even when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, exactly. It's about keeping them motivated through the easy times, but also through the tough time and the difficult challenges. Because we do face tons of those, right? Especially when we're
Mhm.
testing. We have so many constraints when we're testing that tough times are more common than the easy times. So, as a leader, we need to set clear expectations, provide the resources that they need. I think that's really important as well as a leader. If you are someone that has managerial responsibilities or a technical leader as well, I think, keep an eye out for the rest of your team and see where are they blocked on? What resources do they need to do their jobs better? That can keep them motivated as well and more focused on quality too. Offer them ongoing support. That includes recognizing and celebrating the small victories along the way as well. Having that brag book, I think, is a great idea. Just really amplifying the small victories that our team conquers almost on a daily basis. The bugs that we found, the conversations that we've had. Like, it's really important for us as leaders to amplify those conversations so we can get to the ears of other leaders as well, so they can understand a little more about the impact that our team has. So a quality-driven team thrives on collaboration and accountability. And as a leader, we are the ones who helps cultivate that culture too.
And building that culture starts with trust. When your team trusts that you're genuinely invested in their growth and in the success of the product, they're more likely to take ownership of quality. And empowering them to make decisions, to take initiative, and to speak up when something isn't right is crucial. It's about creating a space where quality is everyone's responsibility, not just the testers. That's how you build a team that not only delivers quality, but continuously improves and grows together. And honestly, as a leader, when your team is successful, that's usually what defines your success, right? So you want to make sure that your team has that trust and that confidence in you so that they can do their best work, because it reflects upwards and it reflects well on you. And then when they do poorly, that also reflects poorly on you. So it's so important to foster that culture of trust and collaboration and accountability across the team.
And also, as leaders, we cannot do it all on our own. We need to trust our team members to take on responsibilities and to hold each other accountable. The best teams are those where everyone feels like they are playing a vital role in ensuring that quality is baked in from the start. The goal is to create a culture where everyone, from developer to product managers, understands the importance of quality. It's about setting the tone from the top and fostering an environment where quality becomes an ingrained habit. When your team is aligned with this mindset, quality isn't just a task to check off, it's a core part of the process that everyone owns.
So true. And that accountability is super important, for sure. So I wanted to focus a little bit here on quality leadership in agile environments. I think because Agile is all about collaboration, adaptability, we testers and quality leaders play a critical role in ensuring that quality isn't sacrificed for the sake of speed. So the crucial conversations we were just talking about before. So in Agile, testers and quality leaders help the teams to embrace early feedback. We can guide them to shift left with testing. And we can focus on quality from the very beginning of the development process, not just at the end.
In Agile, the importance of continuous testing and integration becomes even more pronounced. Testers aren't just involved in testing after the code is written. We are part of every phase of the development pipeline, from the initial design to deployments. We ensure that quality is continuously built into the product. This shift means that testing isn't an isolated activity anymore. It's integrated into every stage, and as quality leaders, we facilitate that seamless integration.
Exactly. We're the ones driving the shift left, advocating for faster feedback cycles and fostering collaboration between developers, testers, and other stakeholders. It's our job to make sure that quality isn't an afterthought. We take an active role in making sure that quality practices are part of the very fabric of the process from day one. And let's not forget, testers are always in those daily stand ups, asking the tough questions. We're there to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. It's our job to keep everyone honest. And when the team is working fast and pushing code out rapidly, we ensure that nothing is skipped or overlooked. That means ensuring automated tests are in place, monitoring performance, and continuously challenging the team to keep quality at the forefront, even when the pressure to deliver quickly is high.
And we are constantly advocating for the right balance. Yes, speed is important in Agile, but it shouldn't come at the cost of quality. We make sure teams are equipped with the tools and resources they need to test early, test often, and get quick feedback so they can make improvements continuously. In those environments, quality leadership isn't just about overseeing the testing process, it's about enabling the team to build and release software with quality and speed for the business.
Yeah, it's a very fine balance, right? So we need to ensure that we are delivering the information that the business needs to make their decisions and that we are making sure that they have what they need. But also we need to empower the team to take ownership of quality in a collaborative and continuous way as well. So kind of, speed can come at odds exactly with the time that we need to learn and continuous improving as well. So we can help create a culture where quality is an ongoing process. And I know I've been banging on this key a lot today, but quality being that ongoing process from the very beginning, it's really important. Whether it's a developer, a tester, a product manager, we all play a role in ensuring that the product is of the highest standard. That's how you make quality an integral part of every sprint, every release, every iteration. It's that continuous loop.
Exactly. And the best part is when quality is baked into every part of the process, the whole team feels proud of the product they deliver, knowing it was done right, not just fast. And now I want to shift gears and dive into some of the challenges that we face as quality leaders, because it all sounds good as we're talking about it, but it's not all smooth sailing. There are always obstacles to overcome, whether it's limited resources, resistance to new quality initiatives, or handling setbacks. These are the realities of the job. And it's how we face these challenges that define our leadership.
So true, Early. And, we talked a little bit about this as well already, like the resources are often tight, not just for us, but for the whole of engineering. And when teams are under pressure, it's very hard to deliver something of quality because we just want to get it over the line. So this is where I think our resilience as leaders really come into play. We have to stay focused on providing that important information, on advocating for quality, even if it feels like we're constantly pushing back, right? So sometimes it's about getting creative with what we have. Can we leverage more automation? Can we refine our test process? Can we collaborate across teams to find other ways to ensure quality without always relying on other types of resources? So we need to be resourceful in that way as well, to find ways our people to unblock when resources are really tight, and they often are.
And persistence in this case is a key. There is always going to be resistance to new initiatives, especially when you're trying to shift the mindset of the entire team. But we push through it. We rally the team and remind them why quality matters. We show them that quality isn't just an extra task. It's what ensures the success of the product in the long run. As leaders, we have to be that steady force, even when others might be focused on short-term goals or other priorities.
Definitely. And let's not forget the classic line we hear all the time. Why do we need more testers, right? That's when we have to roll up our sleeves, explain the value of testing, and even negotiate. Sometimes it's not just about pushing for more testing, but about educating the team and stakeholders on how crucial it is for the overall success of the product. We need to make them see that without proper testing, we're just setting ourselves up for future problems.
Exactly. And one thing that I also like talking about, and we've talked about this as well, is not just also making sure that everyone understands the value of testing or what we are testing, but also making sure that, when time is really crunched up for us, or when it's really shortened, or we don't have time to test what we want to test, even if we use a risk-based approach, it's really important for us as testers to surface the areas that are not being tested as well. That's important information for the leadership to know, right? It's like, okay, does it need to be in production by that date? Cool. So let's have a real conversation here about the risks. And one of the risks is that we are going to be able to cover these areas, but these are the areas that we are not going to touch. So if something happens there, we all need to understand that with the time frame that we have, that's all that we have time to do. So, I think when push really comes to shove, when people keep asking, why do we need more testing? It's being able to explain the value, but it's also being able to explain that, we've decided as a team that on a risk-based approach, this is the amount of testing we got to do. But if we don't have that time, the only chunk of test that we're going to do is this one, not that one. Really shining a light on that part that's not going to be tested. I think it's important.
Yeah, and then if it turns out that the part that's not tested causes an issue in production, here is the data point that you can take back to bring to management and say, this is why we need more resources. This is why we need these tools. This is why,
Exactly. And if you have those conversations ahead of time, we will hope we don't get the data points, but if we do get the data points, then what we do is, it's not a surprise to anybody either, because like, whoa, I didn't know you're not testing that part. It's like, whoa, we had the conversation, we couldn't test it. And now, we found this. So it's a great data to bring back.
Exactly.
And yeah, because I think what we're trying to get to here is that, quality isn't optional. Like it's not something that we add on. It's not something that, we can do much about only on our own as well. It needs to be an integral part of the Scrum team. So when we face, setbacks with resources, with limitations, with, environments, whatever it is that's coming our way, we need to remind ourselves and the team that quality is something that we can't afford to skip. And if we do skip, again, we need to let them know what the consequences could be and let them make the decision that they need.
Yes, and what I want to add also about setbacks, we know for sure setbacks will happen. It's just like reality of software development. What we as quality leaders have to do is not just point out where things went wrong. We need to help our team learn from it. We help them to see what went well and what can be improved in the future. It's all part of fostering a culture of continuous improvement. Again, coming back to postmortems, right? It's like similar way of addressing things. No blame culture, by the way. No blame. No. And the key in all of this is keeping morale high, even if we are facing challenges and setbacks.
Exactly. And it's about maintaining that focus on the bigger picture. So even when there are setbacks and when things aren't going as planned, we as quality leaders need to keep the team focused on why we're doing this in the first place. And that is to deliver the highest quality product possible. And sometimes that means taking a step back, reassessing, and figuring out how we can adapt to overcome the challenges together.
Exactly. And to sustain the morale and that focus, we need to celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Acknowledging the progress we've made, whether it's fixing a bug, improving test coverage, or delivering a successful release, no matter what it is, we need to celebrate. We need to amplify. That helps to keep the team really motivated. It's about reinforcing the idea that every step we take, no matter how small, is part of building something great.
And we will succeed in this for sure.
Yes, we will.
And now let's wrap things up by focusing on something that's vital for anyone looking to grow into a quality leadership role. Practical advice. Becoming a quality leader doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey of continuous learning, building relationships, and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. So, if you are aspiring to step into a quality leadership role, here are some actionable tips to help guide you on that path.
First and foremost, for me at least, is stay curious. Because to be a good tester, to be a quality leader, you have to know that you're going to be a lifelong learner. You have to be learning all the time. You have to be investigating. This is key. The technology landscape is always evolving. We as testers and leaders need to be on top of tools, technologies, methodologies, but also on top of communication styles and changing hats and understanding the new trends for our customers. Our customers, now into something else. We can bring all of that information into what we do as well. And it's not about just the technical side of things. Like I said, it's also about being curious about how the team operates, how to motivate people, how to foster collaboration. Learning never stops.
I totally agree. And don't just learn in isolation. Jump into discussions, network with other leaders, and learn from their experiences. Attend meetups, webinars, conferences, because quality leadership isn't something you do alone. It's about building a community around you. Connect with other professionals who share your passion for quality, and you'll learn a ton. And, we've spoken about this before, but mentorship is also huge. Find a mentor who can guide you through the tough times and help you navigate tricky situations. And also find a mentee who can help you sharpen your mentorship and leadership skills, right?
Yeah.
And don't forget, it's a two-way street. Teaching others will help to reinforce your own knowledge.
And take risks. Don't be afraid to try new approaches and challenge the status quo. Whether it's proposing new testing practices, championing shifting left testing, or pushing for better tools, don't shy away from speaking up when it counts. Being a quality leader can be challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding. The best leaders are those who aren't afraid to step out of their comfort zone and innovate. If you wait for the perfect moment, you will never lead. Sometimes you just have to take this first step and figure it out as you go.
And remember that leadership is about facilitating growth for your team and for yourself as well. So the more you engage with the people around you, the more you learn about their challenges and their perspectives. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier about empathy as well. So that empathy and understanding will be invaluable as you step into that leadership role.
Absolutely. Quality leadership is a continuous process. It's about growing your skills, learning from others, and always striving to improve. And the most important part is creating an environment where everyone on the team feels empowered to contribute to the quality of the product. It's also important to communicate the why to the team, right? So, why are we doing these quality initiatives? Because when the team understands the impact behind their why, they'll be more engaged and doing the things that you're putting into place. So embrace the journey, stay engaged as well, and keep raising the bar. And remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being committed to improvement. So whether you're just starting or already in a leadership role, always be willing to learn, adapt, and help others grow along the way. And also support your team because your team's success is your success. And the road to quality leadership is challenging, but it's also incredibly fulfilling.
So, that's quality leadership in a nutshell. It's not just about running tests or catching bugs. It's about shaping the entire approach to delivering high quality, reliable software from the very start. It's about creating a mindset where everyone on the team, from developer to product managers, consider quality a core part of their work.
Yes, and to do that, it requires a blend of skills. You need to have a solid technical foundation, it's important, but you also need strong interpersonal skills, and to be able to communicate and advocate for your team, for quality, for the project. And a strategic mindset as well to ensure that the team is aligned towards the bigger picture too. So quality leadership isn't just about improving the product, it's about improving the way that the team works together to build it.
It's definitely a challenging journey, but it is so rewarding. By fostering a culture of continuous improvement, setting the right standards, and empowering our teams, we not only create better products, but we create better teams. So remember, quality starts with all of us, and it's up to us as leaders to make sure quality remains front and center in everything we do. Keep learning, stay engaged with your team, and always focus on delivering the best product you can.
That's a great wrap up, everyone. I think, I'm so excited we covered so much today. The next segment is our usual mailbag question where we answer questions from our audience. The question today is, what strategies can quality leaders use to advocate for testing resources within a company? So we talked about earlier, how resources is usually one of the main challenges that we do have. So what are some of the strategies that you've used or seen used to advocate for testing resources within a company?
So I can go. One of the ways is to collaborate with stakeholders. So build strong relationships with product managers, developers, and executives. And when you're talking to them, tailor your pitch to their specific concerns. Example, developers might care about fewer interruptions, while executives might focus on cost savings. So as you are pitching to them, make sure that you are addressing their concerns.
I also want to add that it has to be data driven too. Yes. So we have to know, for example, how many projects the team, the engineering department, the unit is planning to do next year, and see, based on the nature of the projects, how involved the testers supposed to be, based on the complexity, based on the resources that they are expecting from the engineering side, from developers, right? Like how many developers will be on the project. It's kind of like another data point that it can be that sometimes some company using a ratio between developers and testers. So it's somewhere between I saw from 1 to 3 to 1 to 10. It can be it can vary, but it also depends on what testers' responsibility are for the team. So it's kind of fluid and it can move one way or another. But at the end of the day, I would just say regardless of the ratio, the ratio will be different for every company. I would say just gather the data before you start asking for resources. You have to be backed up by the data. Otherwise, yes, it's just your subjective opinion.
Yes, exactly. And it goes back to the communication skills that we were talking about before, right? Being able to gather the data and being able to express why you actually need those resources. You know why, but can you communicate it out to your audience in a way that they are going to understand the reason that you need it? So they need to understand that. So lovely. Thank you so much. That was great. I think those two tips are really awesome. Now we move on to our tip of the day segment where we talk about a different type of testing and how to use it. So today's topic is usability testing. It's an important practice for ensuring that your software is user-friendly and meets the needs of real users.
That's right. Usability testing focuses on evaluating a product by testing it with real users. It's all about making sure that people can navigate your software without confusion and that their experience is intuitive. Think of it as a way to catch any usability issues before your users do.
Totally. During usability testing, you watch real users interact with the product in real time. You might ask them to complete tasks or give feedback on their experiences. This helps you uncover pain points and areas of confusion before those issues impact your real users at scale. It's also a best way to ensure that your software is as user-friendly as possible.
And I think in recent years, I've seen a bit of a departure from having the testing team involved in usability testing. I've been getting the results of the usability testing from the people that are running those tests, so asking the users those questions or questionnaires or observing them use it. But we are not always involved in actually seeing those results being captured. And I think we can gain valuable information by watching them, so we can know what they're doing and we can replicate that when we are testing. And we can also provide valuable information for the running of the session too, by, the person that's running it might not be super comfortable or knowledgeable about the system itself. But, regardless of who does it, and how we get the results, it's about making sure that users can actually use the product effectively. Usability testing can improve the user experience, can boost satisfaction, and ultimately it ensures that your product does what it's meant to do.
Well said. So next time you're getting ready to launch a product, don't skip the usability testing. It can make all the difference in creating software that people love to use.
All right. And that wraps up today's episode on test and quality leadership. And it also wraps up our first season. This has been an amazing ride, and thanks everyone who joined us during this first season.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today and this season. It's been so great having you join us as we dive deeper into software quality. If you've enjoyed this episode and this season, please leave us a review on our podcast. Follow us on all our socials. We can be found on Instagram at engineeringquality_podcast. We can be found on X, formerly Twitter, at engineeringqual. And let us know what your favorite episode was this season. And then also let us know topics that you want to see us talk about next season.
Yes, because we are only taking a short break to recharge and brainstorm, but don't worry, because season 2 is already in the works.
That's right. We are planning more incredible topics and even deeper dives into the world of software quality. Thanks for listening, and we will see you at the next season of the Engineering Quality Podcast. And remember, folks, don't just test with purpose.
See you next time. And hey, don't skip that final round of testing. You'll thank us later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.